George unhappily arrived at his field. It was already harvest season, yet nothing had grown in his field. If he doesn't have crops to give to the king, he'll be in big trouble. One day, while George was working in the field, his shovel hit something hard. He dug for a while and uncovered a big pot, but it was empty inside. Feeling a bit disappointed, he tossed his shovel into the pot and went to rest under a tree. After waking up, George discovered that many shovels had appeared in the jar. It was really strange, so he put a hoe in, and soon the jar was full of hoes. Realizing this was a magical jar, George was overjoyed. He excitedly took the jar home. He placed an egg into the jar, and in the blink of an eye, the jar filled up with eggs. Then he put apples and bread into the jar, and soon had a table full of apples, bread, and eggs. George decided to make good use of this magical jar. He took the things that appeared from the jar to the market to sell. Today, he sold fabric. Tomorrow, he sold vegetables, then beans. No matter what he put in the jar, it would quickly fill up with that item. The other vendors were very envious of George and complained to the king's soldiers about it. The soldiers quietly followed George. That day, George put a chick into the jar, planning to sell the chicks it produced at the market. In no time, many chicks jumped out of the jar, and the soldiers were astounded by what they saw. Can't believe my own eyes. The chicks were wandering around George's house, and one chick fell into the pot, causing even more chicks to jump out of it. George's house became a mess. The soldiers informed the king about what they had witnessed. The king ordered that George and the magic jar be brought here. The king said the jar was a treasure of the kingdom and would be confiscated. George was very sad. The king stuck his head into the jar, wanting to see what secrets it held inside. Seeing the king's actions, George quickly warned him to be careful. Just as he spoke, the king had already fallen into the jar, and soon hundreds more climbed out of the jar. Hundreds of kings emerged from the jar. The soldiers were unsure whose orders to follow, and the king started fighting over the throne. George finally realized the danger of the magic pot, so he took advantage of the chaos to secretly take the jar away. He went to the edge of a cliff and threw the magic pot down. The jar shattered into pieces and vanished instantly. Later, crops grew again in George's field. George realized an important lesson. Only through hard work can the land become fertile. Since then, George has lived happily ever after through his own hard work.